Yes. Back to our blank. Hey everyone, this is Daryl as a service for Regarding 365 and joined as we usually are by Daniel Glenn. Hey Dan. Oh, you're muted, dude.
Oh, sorry. You'll know why I was muted here shortly, I'm sure. Yes, this is Daniel coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, the home of the head cold and flu. Yes,
Oh
that's
yes.
that's where we're
Is,
coming to you live.
yeah. Is there a
I'm
suburb that
sick.
we should stay away from? And get the
Just the
CDC
general,
involved.
just the general area probably.
All
So
right.
yeah, I'm sick, and that's why I was muted because I was probably coughing. So
Oh well, we do hope that you get better soon, dude. I know that
thanks.
it's various parts of the country have suddenly hit winter, and strangely enough, here in New Zealand, we're going into summer. We're about mid-spring, and
Right.
we suddenly got snow. So it was sort of 17, 18 degrees down south, and then
Wow.
boom, it was snow. Not in my region, of course, but further
Yeah.
south.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Message Center. We'll dive straight back in,
Okay.
but first of all, we've been looking at changing where we're doing these streams. If you are joining us now live, then you are seeing us from YouTube Live rather than Periscope. So, Dan, what's your thoughts around this? Like, I put this poll out to people who
Yep.
follow us, who are interested in our content, not just our show, but other things as well. And overwhelmingly, all 18 people who responded, but they were all keen to see us on YouTube rather than Periscope. What's your thoughts?
Well, I thought it was interesting because the if you look at our numbers, we had a lot more views on Periscope than YouTube,
Okay.
just in general. So it was actually kind of interesting that we were getting those Periscope viewers through Twitter, right? And so it was very interesting that the people on Twitter were saying go to YouTube. We were already on YouTube, right? But so anyway, I thought that was interesting, the results. For me, I think YouTube is a great place. It's, there are pros and cons either way. There's other streaming as well, and I think they all have, again, pros and cons. So,
Mm.
um, I think being flexible is nice, and being able to say, yeah, we can just, we'll roll with it. So we'll see. We'll see if the
Well, we
people
do we
tune
do
in. If they
have
don't, they can vote with their views, right?
yeah, and we have a couple of people that have tuned in. We have Alistair Pugin and Paul Kide says, I'm sorry, dude, I've never asked you how to say
Alistair.
your surname.
Yeah, I didn't. Who invited him?
Oh well, they're both keen. Dan Al wants to know if he gets to ask you a question. So
You can
once
just
that
send it over
catches up,
Twitter there, Alistair. That'll be fine. I'll watch it.
yeah. So we'll pause occasionally, and we'll look for some questions to answer, of course. But yeah, we'll get straight into it. And do follow us in our journeys as we're trying to figure out which is best. But I think we are, settling again on YouTube. So we'll see. Um, the the message center. We have a few. So from the Monday, the 30th of October, there was the following day had a message about Office 365 training available, free Office 365 training.
Yep.
And this has been an area that there've been videos that have been created. There've been little quick reference guides and things like that. Have you had a look at some of the content in this, Dan?
I have. I looked a little bit. Um, I haven't gone through all of it. It looks like pretty good content. I think the key will be for me is, can I send my, people who ask me, I get asked all the time, can you give me some training resources on whatever technology, whether it be SharePoint or Power BI, and and typically I need it to be free.
Mm.
Is I got a request this week, or I guess Friday, saying, do you have any Power BI training resources? I say, actually, I do. I do a class. So send them my way. And it's like, well, they're wanting, really, they're wanting free for their for their entire organization. I'm like, um, that's a large ask, but for intro stuff, it would be nice to have, not just intro, but that next level. It would be nice to have some of that. So I hope this hits the spot to be able to, because the service changes so much that that's going to be the key. The two keys for me. One, is it good enough to say I can take someone who knows nothing about it and get me up to speed to where they can start using it effectively? And then two, does it stay up to date? Those are going to be the two keys for me for any of this, for all of this training, whether it's going to be good or not. Because creating instruction manuals on how to use SharePoint Online is probably a fool's errand. It's it's just because it changes so much. In fact, we're going to talk about it a little bit more in some of these announcements. But create a documentation. 2 months later, you're going to have to update it with a lot of updates. So I hope that it does fit the bill there.
Yeah, and I know what you mean. There is lots of changes. I know that some of the exams are also just favouring mostly PowerShell commands, because by the time they'd published that exam, it was, this thing looks different. One thing that stands out to me in this announcement, because I haven't really looked in depth at the content, but they are linking into LinkedIn Learning. Sorry about that. Just rolls off the tongue, and I am a father. But LinkedIn Learning is what used to be lynda.com? Yeah. Which LinkedIn purchased. It's been rebadged as LinkedIn Learning. I guess there's some other things that they've done to bring that closer into the fold. And they have some content in there to offer Office 365 training. So I think now this is good because it involves a community rather than just Microsoft creating the content and themselves sometimes struggling to keep up. So it's a community effort now too.
Right. Yep.
Additional information seems to push through to just an admin site.
Oh, great! That's awesome.
Admin help center. Okay, admin help. So this is how to be an admin for Office 365 rather than regular Office 365 training. So that's kind of where it's for your end users. Training is available to help them and becomes experts in the Office 365 productivity tools, whereas this looks more like it's showing you how to be an admin. Go to the Office help and training. Let me just go one further click.
Man, you're going down a rabbit hole. I know you.
I am. Yeah, here's our training.
There you go.
you will have to go hunting for it in a couple of clicks. But yeah, this is where you should spend some time just having a good look, see if the free resources are going to fit the bill. And we have quite a... I don't actually see Power BI in there. No. Anyway, we'll move right along with the next one. Couple of questions there. So Paul asks whether the Msg Center is the same everywhere or if it's regional bound. Paul, it is... it's specific to your tenant. So much of the content that talks about it being released, it might be generalized to talk about when it may arrive in the month, but then you'll have other things that are specific to your tenant. And Dan and I have often compared and seen the differences. Yep. So your next message. Come on now. Oh, there we go. Web parts on modern SharePoint Online pages. Dan.
This is one of those where I was just saying, if you do an instruction manual, one of the things you would do for an organization that's adopting SharePoint maybe is to say, here are all the web parts you could use. Well, guess what? They've changed now, right, for modern pages. So this is good. I think this is talking about adding quite the addition to the availability for web parts. So as we see, there's a new large toolbox, so you can expand the toolbox and see more rather than having to stay within the little window. The new Microsoft Forms web part. I know that you've played with Forms a little bit, right, Daryl?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little.
I like the sound of being able to put it on the page, so
yes, most certainly.
Page.
Yeah. So there's a lot of additions here. One thing I want to point out is the document web part has got renamed to the file viewer and now
Mm.
has those support for those 270 plus file types. So that's cool. I will see. I'm sorry, seeing the old web parts moving over. That's what I'm really wanting to see. And Microsoft has made it, pretty clear that they're working on the web parts that would be meaningful to bring them
Mm.
over from the classic web part pages over. So things like, when I do training or when I do sessions, I talk about the Excel web part, for instance, and this will help a little bit, this file viewer and
Mm.
being able to do some of that, I believe, but it's not quite the same. So there's still some other web parts that are left that need to be moved over, and we just know everyone that they're working on it.
So I know that there's many more web parts coming, as you say. So we do also expect to see this picker to change, don't we? It's
Yeah.
apparently going to be larger or a separate modal window or something.
Yeah, you're going to be able
But
to expand it out. I
yeah,
think it's going to start off that size, but then you'll be able to expand it out.
yeah. No, I don't have any file viewer examples to show you, but that's certainly one that people are excited about. A group calendar as well. So this exposes the Office 365 group calendar in the background, I believe. Um, Here we go. Upcoming teams, syncing the calendar. It's the marketing group calendar. So I haven't actually dropped anything in
Yep.
there. Oh, there we go. There's our past stuff. So, those sorts of integrations where it's no longer just a SharePoint list.
Right.
That served its purpose, but now that it's part of a real live working calendar that talks to your apps and tells you when things are going to happen and gives you alerts and gets
Yep.
everyone together, sweet as. All right. Well, that was quick enough to sort of demonstrate, but look out for more of those web parts coming in there.
Yep.
What else have we got? Power Apps and Flow integration into modern lists and libraries. Now, this felt like a repeat, didn't it?
It did. But we talked about it a little bit because while this is a bit of a repeat, a little bit about the news anyway, is that this is talking about um, the release of Power Apps and Flow integration in lists and libraries for SharePoint Online has been under the preview flag. So what that means is there's a different support for that, and there could also be a lot of changes happening while it's in preview. But it's no longer in preview, and so this is kind of announcing that this is now part of the product and fully supported as part of the product.
That's right. And
Yeah.
we've seen some things that go GA went and displayed that major update tile. This may be one
Yep.
that could have been a candidate, maybe not.
Maybe.
We did have a question. I'm just pausing there, so just to confirm there, Greg Mashman, who was asking about the web parts rolling out. Wondering when they would be rolling out. I don't think the screen you're showing is the new complete list. So yeah, I think you're right. There are still some things coming in. All right.
Yep, it's going to be in the coming weeks, is what the announcement said. So it'll be, I think, the target. Nope. Is coming weeks. And
Yeah.
generally, when they say that, it's a month is not too long as far as when they're saying coming week. So I think you should expect them then.
Gradually rolling out to first release in early November. Will roll out completely by end of December.
Mm.
Yeah, and it'll be a whole lot to start with. Right, so our service health dashboard. So what we're looking at now is part of the admin center, and it is the message center. But the service health dashboard is where we would get alerts to say when a system is down or is something that's been worked on currently. Whereas the message center will give you that prior warning if it's planned maintenance. And one comment that has been made, and has been made a lot in the past, is that these alerts that we get, such as there is a problem that's been reported with Exchange, we get these false positives because, while it's been targeted and it's supposedly for our tenant or our data center or our region, often these alerts are false. They're not really happening to us, but they're happening to someone in the data center. Do you experience that sometimes, Dan? I ask you the question as you're drinking the cup.
That's fine. No, well, that's better than right before I need a drink
Just
from
before
the
I
cup.
eat that,
Yeah, I've seen that happen. You'll get, in fact, I get them on my phone quite
Yeah.
frequently. In fact, this morning my phone was dinging and making a noise, and I look at it and it says Exchange is down or whatever, and
Yeah,
I'm
I had
like,
that one too. So
it's
that's the
still
thing.
working,
Yeah,
actually.
exactly. And so
So, yeah,
is that a general one maybe like globally, or because you got an alert, I got an alert, or is
I don't
it
know.
tenant based? I'm just going to open mine up now.
Oh, we're supposed to look at those. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, no, this is the thing, isn't it? Isn't it? This is the effect. These
Yeah,
false positives that we've got have had that
yep,
effect of, it's just another alert, really.
yep.
Um, yeah, so health, I've got an Exchange Online 2 advisories. And so, when they talk about advisories and they've got advisory numbers,
hmm
users impacted 21. Well, that's a user count of my tenant.
So
Um,
it is saying that yours is impacted.
Yeah, well, it's pulling data down to say that that's specific to my tenant. I don't imagine it 21 users globally. I mean, it'd be really nice if they sent you out a alert to everyone to say 21 users have lost their car keys. But I don't think it's that.
No, I
Um,
don't think so.
yeah. So these alerts are going to be more accurate as this announcement. Posts will sometimes be resolved with status of false positive. So yeah, I'm expecting them to be more on target. Yeah, there's some stories I want to say, but I think they'd still be under NDA, under kind of an embarrassment NDA, as to how this used to work. Anyway,
Yep.
let's move along. So we have client access rules for Exchange Online. Not a glorious title, but when
No.
looking closer at this, it is about securing access to Exchange Online using client access rules. That's like saying a square is a squarish thing, right? Let's have a look at
Yep.
what the additional information has to say. Oh, I think we looked at the roadmap, didn't we? Let's see if we can find that. So it was this one here. Allowing you to control access to Exchange, an Exchange organization based on the properties of the client, based on the protocol that they might be using, application, service resources, IP addresses. So you're really
Right.
able to get down into a number of
Narrow
different
down.
attributes, yeah, to say yes or no you can't access. It feels like some of these things we've had for a little while, in terms of we're not going to allow this device to access because it's not using the latest version or the right version of the Outlook
Right.
client. So that's the sort of thing that we'll be able to check
Well,
against.
and when I was seeing this, I was kind of wondering, is this one of those cases of been kind of hearing about it for a while, and is it that's why it seems so familiar that we
Hmm.
knew it was coming, or is it really something where this is it's just updated and we're not really telling what the update is. That's kind of when I read this, I was like, is this? I don't
Hmm.
know.
Hmm. Yeah, when it's talking about being based on particular protocol, recently was some discussion about phasing out, what was it, RTP over HTTP,
hmm
and there was a
Yep.
bit of a backlash over the community saying, no, we're not ready for that yet. We actually still need it. So it's another example of where the customers, community say, look, we still need something, and
Right.
a decision is reversed. Um,
Well, and I think that can happen. It's just there has to be enough voices
yeah, yeah,
to get that change,
yeah.
So
So this one, potentially, if you still want to go down that route and restrict people to use only certain protocols, then you can say that's how they can access Exchange Online.
yeah,
Or even a recipient attribute. So that gets into something interesting, doesn't it? You can have one of your custom attributes and say that this person is part of a banned users group. I don't know, or the other way, that they're part of an approved group, and you can use their attribute to allow them
Yeah,
access.
that would be interesting if you could genuinely, I don't know if you can, but if you can genuinely block emails to a competitor, for instance. I don't know. That would be interesting.
Yeah. No, so I think recipient attribute. Yeah. Oh,
Well, the attribute could be it's a certain domain, right?
true.
I don't know.
True.
I don't know. I'm not an exchange guy, and so maybe we need to ask an exchange guy. Do we have one on staff
Um,
regarding 365? Maybe we need to on staff. You like
who
that?
would be
Did you
closest
like
to that
that?
on staff? Yeah. So what you're saying is we need to create a new LinkedIn company page, and
Right.
so yeah, good.
Have people on staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Our last announcement in the list, before we get into other observations, is our monthly updates to Office Pro Plus. So, as part of subscribing to Office Pro Plus, of course, you get your updates. It's probably a good time to mention too that what we are still for now calling first release is going to be called targeted release. So
That's right.
we have various flavors of first release and release cycles. So your targeted release is going to be the new name. It's going to allow you to receive your updates every month. And that's feature updates. Security updates, of course, will always come out every month. But that's over and above the organizations that might put different groups or the rest of the organization on twice a year feature update.
Right.
So some of the
How do you
the
feel
updates.
about how do you
Yeah.
feel about this though, Daryl, showing up in the message center? Because this is the first time I've seen something like this.
Really? No,
I,
this comes in every
are you
month.
sure?
Yeah, it's just I often read the
Are you
bullet points and go,
sure? Look at my face, Daryl. Are you sure?
yeah,
Um, maybe I've not been paying attention. Sorry.
yeah. No, it has been in there as a regular, and around about this time of the month, beginning of the month ish. Yeah,
I don't. I'm
but
going back and looking at my message center.
it's one of those strange things where and I've had a talk about this with my team because I do get updates sooner than they do in Office Pro Plus, and we revisited it in a team meeting recently, where it's not enough to just put someone into the first release group. If you're wanting updates to come sooner to Office Pro Plus, you also have to install it using a certain switch.
Yeah, you do.
To change it to a certain channel so that the click to run capabilities will bring those updates down every month. So I've done that for myself because that's just the habit that I've been in, but I need to do that for the rest of our team as well. And so I've been used to seeing these things appear in Office Pro Plus and not really looking at too much at the message center and these 4 bullet points that may or may not be the greatest announcements to talk about for this is what's come this month. What have I seen this month in Office Pro Plus? It's been a couple of things. There was the SharePoint SharePoint metadata panel, or rather the document information panel that's
Yep.
come back
The old
in.
name.
Yeah, I guess that was what do they call it now? That would have been and that got its own announcement, of course.
It did, but see, and I just want to let you know I went back and looked at my message center. I don't see any updates like this one.
Ooh.
None.
Maybe you haven't
And
received any updates.
maybe because what I was going to say, and I'm kind of stuck back on that point. Sorry, but what I was going to say is I actually like seeing these. Here's what we're updating, and here are the major things we've updated in the Office products.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, probably in most organizations, the people who have access to this message center, who are getting these messages, will also be on the same team, maybe even the same people, who manage from an infrastructure standpoint. What version of Office we're on. What do we support? those kind of things. And so this will be good for, this is good for change management, for them to stay in tune with, oh, wow, there's updates to the digital pen experience in PowerPoint and Word and Excel. We might start getting questions about that. Maybe I need to look at what is that, and do we, what is our position on that, for example. So that's why I was asking about it, and I didn't find it anywhere. But talking about the bringing in the information for documents, I think that's, let's see, I was trying to quickly go back and see where that was, but
I think it was a couple of shows back.
Yeah, it was.
The additional information for this announcement, of course, it'll take you through to a page that some teams will actually visit quite often. So that gives you the full rundown of what has been released, and you can filter down, and I can see that this has actually improved even since I last looked at it. So you can choose and filter down and say, which channel am I on? I'm on monthly, but if you're on semi-annual targeted, so you don't expect to see, you've got to choose your month, I guess, as well. It's March. All right, so this will be twice a year, and so you can go back and see those updates. That will give you more information, or a more extensive list about what has been released in the product. And this really goes back to why you would have those two different rings or paces of receiving those updates. We've got a question here from Greg again, or comment. It looks like on October 17th, the first time they called it the monthly updates feature. So that's probably what's caught you out, Dan. It wasn't called the monthly updates feature in the past. It was called updated feature.
Gotcha.
Good find, Greg. That. Yeah.
Send him a cookie.
I will. In fact, I have these crazy, and I don't know why YouTube have these emojis, but they look more like squash jelly tubes. I can't even select it. Hey, that's kind of weird. Oh, there we go. We'll send
a jelly
him
tube.
Yeah, I know. Boom. Thank you, Greg. There you go. Have a yellow jelly tube. I don't know what flavour yellow would be. Have you noticed? So we've got to the end of those messages in the message. What else have you noticed in your tenant that has changed recently?
Nothing. I haven't noticed. I haven't noticed anything. I know there's been new stuff. I've seen some of these kind of rolling in my targeted tenant, but I did get the new SharePoint admin administration
You're on the
site.
preview there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of limited at the moment, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's limited. But I mean, it's a great step. Don't get me wrong, but it is limited right now. Yeah. The one thing I did notice in the admin center, where we get to the message center, the admin center, there's that training tile that has showed up. Again, it's for the training, LinkedIn and learning, but that was pretty cool. I saw that appear earlier, but I haven't seen anything, any other new features jumping out at me.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is again symptomatic of being change saturated. We do get a lot of change, and so we start to identify what's important to us, looking at things and going, yeah, that's cool, I'm interested in that, it's a new feature, something to play with and understand, and other things are like cosmetic, yeah, I'm not really that interested. But as a change agent or change manager, it's important to try and keep across all of these things.
Yeah, which is difficult.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is why we're here, right? So people should just watch our half-an-hour show every week. You get a jump on what's going on and what you should be paying attention to. I think it's a win-win for everybody, right?
Yeah, that's right. And so you are getting close to closing out, and we don't cover everything, of course. Yep. We just pass comments on what we've seen. Some weeks we have a bit more mental capacity to pick up on things, or make a short list. No, that's me too, man. Like you can spend a week with your head stuck in a document and meeting with people and not really spend a lot of time in Office 365. You can spend time more in the client side of things or the mobile apps, but not so much in the online experience. And so you miss these sorts of things, and that's why we kind of depend on our community there. I think there's one observation Philip has talked about, and he said that he's seen the flow in OneDrive appear in his production tenant this morning.
Cool.
So that means that it's not just limited to your document lists and libraries in SharePoint, but you can reach in and do things with OneDrive as well.
Yep.
So
we knew that was coming, so that's great.
Sweet.
So I've got, if I may, I'm doing a webinar in a couple days. So if anybody would like to jump on that, it's going to be covering using on-prem data with Office 365. So how to do that. We'll be setting up a gateway and everything. So if you want to just go to danielglenn.com/webinar, that'll take you to that's the secret way in to getting registered. So join me and we'll have a good time. So that's Daniel Glenn /
bringing that
webinar.
up on screen so we know what it looks like. Register to go to webinar. So it's a redirect link.
It is. Well, that was just a quick link for you.
Yeah, that'll work. Good. So that's what you need to fill out. Sweet. Oh well, that's another week that was, and I didn't do my regular jumping around here. Admin Center. Click them all. Dismiss. Job done, right? We've dismissed those messages. That was Office 365 Message Center the week that was, the 30th of October 30th. See you again next week. Bye for now.